was the supreme knowledge, man. Okay? But in persuading other men also to assent to him, he communicated to them arithmetic. Okay, so arithmetic, I think that's math, or the counting and stuff. That came from Abraham, okay, which was a Hebrew, okay. Alright, the founder, one of the patriarchs, key patriarchs of the nation of Israel, okay. He is our great grandfather, okay, or the founding father of our nation, okay. So he communicated to the Egyptians, alright, arithmetic, and delivered to them the science of astronomy, okay. So where did the origins of astronomy come to? When you glorify Egyptology, you say the Egyptians had the ability to formulate and have the pyramids line up with particular constellations and stars, dealing with great levels of astronomy. Where did they get that from? They got it from Abraham, which is the father of the Hebrew Israelites, okay. Alright, the founding father. Alright. Okay, so it said that he communicated to them arithmetic and delivered to them the science of astronomy. And before Abram came into Egypt, they were unacquainted with those parts of learning. For the science came from the Chaldeans into Egypt, and from thence to the Greeks also. So you also bigging up the Greeks, because the Greeks, they got that so-called knowledge. Basically, Esau got that from the ancient world. Okay, just how they get it today. They got it from Egypt. Okay, but the Egyptians, they learned it from Abraham. Okay, all right. Okay, so astronomy. All right, let's look up that word astronomy so everybody understand what I'm saying. Okay, astronomy is the study of like the stars and constellations, alright, the celestial bodies, alright, G-R-O-N-Y, astronomy, okay, it says star arrangements, that's what it means, alright, the arranging of stars. Yep, the signs of the heavenly bodies, basically, like I said, telling of stars, alright, that's what it means, okay, so, you bragging about, oh, the Greeks had that knowledge, and they got that from the Egyptians, okay, and the Egyptians, they had the knowledge of astronomy. No, astronomy came from the Israelites, okay, alright, alright. Okay, so that knowledge of that's our knowledge. Okay, that goes back to the Israelites, not no Hamites. Okay, not the Edomites. So fuck Esau, the so-called white man, and fuck them dusty ass Africans, the real Africans, them Hamites. Okay, the children of Mizraim. They didn't have that knowledge. They learned that from Abraham. Okay. All right. So let's go to let me go to First Chronicles. But yeah, let me go to Wisdom of Solomon. Because King Solomon, which was one of the wisest king, alright, in Israel, okay, the Lord gave him that knowledge. Okay. Let's get it. This is 1 Kings chapter 4 verse 29. It said, and God gave Solomon wisdom and understanding exceeding much and largeness of heart, even as the sand that is on the seashore. Now Solomon was an Israelite. He was a king over Israel, okay, from the tribe of Judah, which would be a so-called Negro, okay, alright, a black man. Alright, let me get there real quick about Solomon. Okay, Song of Solomon 1 and 5. it says, I am black but calmly. This is King Solomon speaking about himself. He said, I am black, which that word black is Qadar, which means dark skin in Hebrew. Okay, I am black but calmly, O ye daughters of Jerusalem, as the tent of Kedar, as the curtains of Solomon. Look not upon me because I am black, because the sun hath looked upon me. I'll stop right there. That's right. So King Solomon was a black man, a so-called Negro. Okay, so you will notice. Alright, 1 Kings 4:29. And God gave Solomon wisdom and understanding exceeding much, and largeness of heart, even as the sand that is on the seashore. And Solomon's wisdom excelled the wisdom of all the children of the east country. So his wisdom was greater than that of the Moabites, so-called Chinese. Alright, you think you're wise. Solomon was wiser than you, man. He was wiser than them East Indians. He was wiser than the children of Japhet. Okay, he was wiser than all those nations, man. And it says, and all the wisdom of Egypt. I'm going to read that again. 1 Kings 4:30. And Solomon's wisdom excelled the wisdom of all the children of the east country and all the wisdom of Egypt. Alright. For he was wiser than all men, than Ethan the Israelite, and Heman, and Cholko, and Dor the sons of Morhol, and his fame was in all nations round about. And he spake 3,000 parables, and his songs were 1,005. And he spake of trees, from the cedar tree that is in Lebanon, even unto the hibiscus that sprang out of the wall. He spake also of beasts, and of fowls, and of the creepy things, and of fishes. And there came of all people to hear the wisdom of Solomon, from all kings of the earth, which had heard of his wisdom. Okay, and what was Solomon dealing with? Let's see what Solomon was dealing with. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 5. It says, Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord my power commanded me, that ye shall do so in the land whither ye go to possess it. Keep therefore and do them, talking about the laws, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, Surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. Okay, for what nation is there so great, who have God so nigh unto them, as the Lord our power is in all things that we call upon him for? And what nation is there so great, that have statutes and judgments so righteous as all this law, which I set before you this day? Okay, that's what Solomon was dealing with, because one of the requirements of a king of Israel, he had to have a copy of the law, and he also had to practice it. Okay, this is Deuteronomy 17:14. And when thou art come unto the land which the Lord thy God give thee, and shall possess it, and shall dwell therein, and shall say, I will set a king over me, like as all the nations that are about me. Thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Lord thy power shall choose. One from among thy brethren shalt thou set king over thee. Thou mayest not set a stranger over thee, which is not thy brother. But he shall not multiply. I'm going to skip down. Verse 18. Deuteronomy 17:18. And it shall be, when he sitteth upon the throne of his kingdom, that he shall write him a copy of this law in a book out of that which is before the priests, the Levites. And it shall be with him, and he shall read therein all the days of his life, that he may learn to fear the Lord his power, to keep all the words of this law and these statutes, to do them, that his heart be not lifted up above his brethren, and that he turn not aside from the commandment to the right hand or to the left, to the end that he may prolong his days in his kingdom, he and his children in the midst of Israel. So the wisdom and knowledge and understanding that Solomon gained, it was coming from the scriptures, man, and from the promise, from the Heavenly Father, that He said He was going to give him these things, because he asked for wisdom, okay, to judge Israel rightly. So let's go to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7, and show that Solomon, he had that knowledge of astronomy. Okay, Wisdom of Solomon 7:17. And he hath given me certain knowledge of the things that are, namely, to know the world, how the world was made, and the operation of the elements. Chemistry, alright, what you call chemistry or science. The beginning, ending, and the midst of times, because Solomon was also a prophet. Okay, and it says the alterations of the turning of the sun and the changing of seasons. Well, now what is that talking about? The alteration of the turning of the sun. That plays in also into astronomy, because it's the star arrangements, but it's also the study of what? The heavenly bodies, which the moon, the sun, and the stars will also be part of that. So Solomon had this knowledge of astronomy, which was what? The alterations of the turning of the sun and the changing of seasons, the circuits of years, and the positioning of stars. Okay, the nature of living creatures and the fury of wild beasts, the violence of winds, and the reasonings of men, the diversities of plants, and the virtues of roots, and all such things are either secret or manifest, them I knew. Okay, all right. So Solomon had that knowledge, man. Okay, and he was an Israelite. And his knowledge and wisdom and understanding that the Lord gave him was so vast and so great that it was better than that of Egypt. Okay, so you Egyptologists, your so-called knowledge or whatever is either originated like this astronomy. It originated from us, from the Israelites. Okay, going back to our forefather Abraham. All right, and Solomon was very vast in the knowledge of astronomy. Okay, all right. In the tribe of Issachar, you get that, which is so-called Mexicans, which also it was said about the same thing about the pyramids they built, the Mayans and the Aztecs. Okay, their pyramids or temples they made, all right, how they was lined up with certain constellations. Okay, they had that gift of studying the signs of the sky, because that was their gift unto them. Okay, they excelled at it, and they are Israelites. All right, what's that? First Chronicles, chapter 12, verse 32. Alright, it says, and of the children of Issachar, which are the so-called Mexicans, it says, which were men that had understanding of times, to know what Israel ought to do. The heads of them were 200, and all of their brethren were at their commandments. Now how were the Israelites, how did they study the times? They dealt with the sun, the moon, and the stars, the arrangement of that, so that they would know what day, season, all the measurements of time. Okay. All right. What's that? Yeah, I get that in Genesis. Okay, Genesis 1:14. Alright, it said, and God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heavens to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. Okay. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and it was so. Okay,